Today's video is all about how our kitchen island went from this to this. Hey, it's Becca. Welcome to my channel. John and I already took the counter off and we are waiting on our contractor who is going to remove the cabinets only because we don't know what's hiding underneath there wiring wise. He'll also place the new cabinets and attach them together along with building the plywood countertop. You can kind of see the footprint of the new island, which we are shifting down and over using stock cabinets from Lowe's. And just like that, we said goodbye to the old island and hello to the new one. The frame that's hiding behind that plywood is built out of 2x4s. That will help support the new countertop, which I think I mentioned earlier is made out of plywood. I'll be painting that and then adding molding and trim. This box molding look is what I'm going for using 1x4s and 1x6s. Love having an outlet at this end as well. Here you can see the unfinished cabinets a little bit better and the fact that we have added a microwave cabinet. However, believe it or not, that cabinet used to look like those. When we priced microwave cabinets, they were upwards of $400. So I asked our contractor if he could turn one of the basic cabinets into a microwave cabinet by just taking off the doors and moving the drawer down. I think he did a great job. Now we did have a gap at the bottom, so I asked if he could just temporarily attach the drawer front of one of our old cabinets to, fake a drawer. Now I know that they don't match the cabinet fronts or the drawer fronts, and we will get one that does very soon. Now here we are at Lowe's, grabbing the wood that I'll need to add all the molding. Just giving you a little snapshot of what the prices are these days. Again, I'll be using 1x6s and 1x4s. Once we got home, got my best friend the miter saw out and started making cut after cut after cut. This cut scared me just a little bit. After 5 million cuts, the boxes are coming alive. Again, using 1x4s, a level and my brad nailer, and I'm pretty sure I'm using 1 1/4 inch brad nails. Far from perfect, but it's looking better already. Now let's take it one step further. I have 2 different kinds of molding or trim to choose from, picture frame and cove. So I put both of the trims up. They're not mounted or anything, just to give us an idea of what they look like. I love this classic picture frame molding. However, I feel like it might not work in the kitchen. I love the look of the cove molding. It's simple, yet it still gives the boxes depth. And I feel like it's going to fit in, or I don't know, more in line with what I want to do in the kitchen or the vibe we're going for in the kitchen. This would be gorgeous on an island, but maybe if my boxes were bigger, it would look a little bit better. Even though it was pretty time consuming, thankfully these cuts were fairly easy to make. So I finally finished doing the cuts for all of the cove molding boxes inside of the boxes. I just have them temporarily attached with painter's tape. The next step is to permanently attach them with my brad nailer. Then I have to fill all of those holes and sand and paint. There is still a lot to be done. Once I was able to put down the brad nailer, it was time to fill every single nail hole with wood filler, wait for it to dry, and then sand it a little bit. Next up, caulk. Latex, not silicone. Added a bead of it inside every single box. You can see I would wet my finger and then smooth it out. Did that all the way around the island. And then, yay, time to paint. Added 1 coat of primer, Zinsser primer, and then 2 coats so far of Valspar Bistro White cabinet paint. All right, y'all, it is finally time to paint the countertop. And the first thing I'm gonna do is to add a coat of Valspar bonding primer. I'm 1 1/4 Once it's dry, I'm going over it with a 220 grit sand block and then adding 2 coats of Valspar Bistro White in satin. Now comes the fun part where I can hopefully make this resemble Calicut marble. I have my first mixture ready to go. I will link the video below where I shared my full tutorial a couple of months ago so you can see all the parts. But I have my mixture, my sponges, and my cloth, and hopefully this works. Here I am just applying my concoction with a sponge and then blotting it off. Some people refer to this as scumble or scumbling. And while I waited for all of that to dry, I went ahead and mounted the new hardware, although I did add a bit of rub and buff just because the new handles were a little too gold. Time to add the veins. This is done using craft paint, glaze and water, duck feather, and brush. Now that the paint is dry, I'm going over it with a mixture of paint, glaze, and water. I'm using a sponge roller to apply it and then blotting it here and there. This is a really important step because it adds depth, softens the veins, allowing it all to appear a bit more authentic. Once that's dry, I'm going over it with a 220 grit sand block and then vacuuming up all of the dust. Finally, we're at the last step, adding polyacrylic. Not polyurethane, but polyacrylic. Went with a matte finish, ended up adding 3 coats. You just need to make sure you allow at least 2 hours for the coats to dry and sand with a 220 grit in between. One last time, I'm going to mention that I do have a full video tutorial linked down below in case you'd like to learn more about this process. Just for fun, here are a few before and after photos so you can see the difference a little bit of paint, molding, and hardware can make. Still need to add one more coat of paint. A few places I need to sand. After I was done filming, I ended up adding these small boxes on the end. It just didn't look finished. So now the cove matches the cove on the bigger boxes. Also added the base trim or the shoe molding. Around here, it's so fun seeing everything painted. And while we didn't gain any cabinet space, we gained 1 drawer. Speaking of drawers, still waiting for the faceplate that matches that one. Love having the microwave drawer. Just hit that button and it opens so you can get your food or drink from the top. You don't have to bend down to get it. Love having a larger counter. It ended up being almost 10 feet long, 4 feet wide. We do have an eye out for an actual piece of quartzite, but we're in no rush. When you step back though and look, it feels like it's always been a part of the kitchen. Now there's one more part to this project, and that is the lighting. We had a lot of recessed lights up there. Unfortunately, the cans had started to yellow. We had 2 chandeliers up there. Nothing was fitting with the layout of the new island. So we asked our electrician to take it all away. And here's what it looks like now. All the holes have been filled, recessed lights are gone, although we did end up keeping one above the sink for task lighting, although it isn't recessed anymore. That is a retrofit LED. As for lighting, this is what we went with. 3 schoolhouse pendants. I know I drove my sister Liz, my husband, and our son crazy, showing them option after option. There were so many to choose from, but in the end, this is what we went with. Love their simplistic design. They were black, ended up adding a couple of coats of rub and buff, so now they match the handles and pulls all around the kitchen. And having all the recessed lighting gone, except for the one task light, just allows the pendant lights in the middle to take center stage. They are on a dimmer, which is nice too. And I also wanted to mention that after I shared last week's video decorating this corner for fall, I ended up painting all of the lower cabinets Sherwin-Williams Accessible Beige. Love the color, the soft contrast. This way, I can keep the island nice and white for a while. I have an idea I'll end up painting it in the future, but for now, this is how it's going to stay. Having said that, how about we go ahead and decorate the counter for the first time, adding a big old fall vignette right in the middle. Y'all are going to think I'm crazy, but the first thing I'm going to do is cover the counter up. Just adding a really simple throw. It's kind of not in such great shape, but I'm going to place this just very loosely right in the center. Next, I'm going to add these 2 books as a riser. Next, I'm bringing in this big old arrangement. This is just a bunch of leftover fall stems that I didn't use anywhere else, but I love the fall or the pears for the kitchen. This vase is from Hobby Lobby. This crock is from Target. Found it a couple of years ago and just filled it with a few wooden rolling pins. And then to continue the pear theme, I have a few plates where I've just added a few faux pears to the top. But then let's just go ahead and add this glass cloche right over it. And then to balance with the wooden rolling pins, these aren't wood, they're glass, but they're brown, so I thought this might balance height-wise with the rolling pins as well. Now, since it's officially October, how about a little whimsical nod to the holiday? I have this little riser and 2 of these adorable jack-o'-lanterns. And then lastly, to tie in with the faux fall stems, as well as the amber glass, I have 2 of these vases that I have filled with these little picks that match those that are around the rest of the kitchen. Now, where I would be tempted to add pumpkins around here, I kind of want to leave this empty so that if you need to push it up to clear more space for eating or whatever you need to place there. Plus, since I have the pumpkins here, I think I'm okay, but I may end up going back and adding some. But for now, I think it looks kind of fun. What do you think? To each end of the island, I've added a stool that's got some fabric. Just because there's so much wood going on in here now, I wanted fabric to kind of break that all up and soften it a bit. Have one there and there. The dark gray covers are temporary. IKEA was out of the beige looking ones, so we'll add those once they're back in stock. We actually could fit 2 of these here turned in. However, I kind of like having just one at an angle. It still allows you enough room to open the oven door or simply walk on by. Well, friends, that's all for today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and allowing me to share our latest project. I hope you enjoyed the video and will consider subscribing to my channel. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.